how close would you say the Spade of the novel and the Spade of the movie are?
Well, in physical appearance, the movie, of course, was done multiple times, but everybody thinks of the Bogart version. Bogart did not look physically like Spade is described. Spade is over tall and broad-shouldered and blonde, looking like a blonde Satan is the way that Hammett describes him. And Bogart didn't look like that, but he had the spirit of the character in the novel, and that was captured in the movie. So that's close. And helped that the dialogue in the John Huston version of the movie was lifted word for word from the novel.
One of you Hammett experts will know this better than I. I repeat the story whenever I go around to Big Read cities. And for anybody who doesn't know, the Big Read is a nationwide program from which, confidentially, we're starting to get some very promising early reports statistically in terms of national reading statistics. I often tell the story, and I don't promise to stop telling it even if I learn otherwise today, that on a Friday afternoon, John Huston tossed a paperback of the Maltese Falcon to his secretary and said, "Change the margins on this, we start shooting Monday."
I was told a slightly different version of the story by Ray Bradbury, who knew Hammett well. I sent Ray a copy of Rick Lehman's book, which seems to get mentioned a lot here. And Ray called me up and thanked me, and he said that the one story he wanted to see in and missed in the book was Alan Rivkin was a famous Hollywood screenwriter at the time and a friend of John Huston. And this was going to be John Huston's first movie as a director, but he was an experienced screenwriter. Oh, yeah. And he talked about having Rivkin write it. And Rivkin, according to Ray Bradbury, Rivkin went through, marked up the novel with what to include, what not to include, gave that to the secretary. She typed that up. Go on with the story.
Got it. All right.
Oh, well, or should I continue?
No, feel free, please.
And so she typed it up, and the thing was that Jack Warner had said, okay, we'll do this movie if you can shoot it all on the back lot. We've already got rights to the novel because Warner Brothers had made it 2 not-so-good versions of it before, so they didn't have to pay Hammett for the rights. And but we want to see the script. You've got to do a good script on it. So the secretary had Rivkin's marked-up copy of the novel, went through, typed it up in screenplay format, left it on her desk at the weekend. Jack Warner passed through, saw it, picked it up, took it home, read it over the weekend, and told Huston, yeah, that's a good script, you can do it. I've seen a copy, I've seen that copy of the script.
Where is it?
A collector in Beverly Hills had it, and it's now missing. It was stolen from a safe in his house.
Maybe the same guy who stole the Falcon prop from John's Grill in San Francisco?
I don't think so. This was, I mean, but it was significantly different from the movie and significantly more faithful. A lot of things that were in the novel that aren't in the movie were in that version of the script.
Yeah, there are actually at least 3 versions of the script that I've seen, and they progressively they make changes. Could I say here, please, that books are books and movies are movies, and the Maltese Falcon is a wonderful movie. It's a classic. You know, it deserves more accolades than it receives. It ain't the book.
I just want to ask one last thing about the picture, which is...
Excuse me, which is better?
Oh. A line everybody remembers from the movie, though, appears nowhere in the book. Right. Does anybody know where that came from?
Well, I know that Vince may have a more fulsome story, but it is John Huston's line, and it comes from The Tempest. Right? Certainly Huston was familiar with Shakespeare. His father was a Shakespearean actor, and he was a well-educated guy. So yeah, it comes from what is the line in The Tempest? We are such stuff as dreams are made on. Sure.
Actually, Huston, in an interview near the end of his life, said that Humphrey Bogart came up with the line on the set.
I had heard that. Yeah.
And they had the ending of the novel is different from the ending of the movie. There's a scene after that's not included. And they originally, it was in the script, they were going to add it, but because of that line and the way they shot it, they didn't need to. But it was Humphrey Bogart gets the credit for adding Shakespeare at the end.
I wouldn't have thunk it.
Well, he was a stage actor too. You know.
Oh, that's true.
But if I can add something briefly about the movie, not to deny what's been said, of course, about the two being so separate, but if you read the book, there are very detailed descriptions of people's behavior, reactions, movements, and they are reproduced microscopically on the screen. So this provided the dialogue and also a lot of physical details of people's actions, which is really striking to consider.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things that's always fascinated me about the novel is that there's a great tension between the dialogue and the body language, and the physical direction tells a lot of the story, and it does dictate kind of stage direction. And Bogart especially, you see a lot of that, the jaw kind of nodding up or the hands shaking. So Huston certainly had a great appreciation for this.
Or the description of him rolling a cigarette,
Ah,
which is
yes.
so detailed. It was as if a Martian who had never seen a cigarette or anybody roll one could presumably figure out how, just on the basis of that paragraph.